So here we are, back to game 2 of Night Raid taking on Ride My Rocket. Gonna go ahead and unmute HoN right there. Night Raid taking on Ride My Rocket. No, Ride My Rocket taking on CoolIo. That was the last series I did. Both of these teams eligible for a promotion to Diamond Division. And I never even saw any, any responses. Anyway, both of these teams with potential to advance to Diamond Division with a victory here, and both of them will be knocked out and unable to go forward. Will be back in gold for Cycle 7 if they don't advance. So we're looking like this is a pretty important game, I would say. Yeah, no, it's a random active user giveaway. You don't have to give a response to a specific question. It's just to be active, because I am extremely low base priority type that you don't have to do a lot to win stuff. Yeah, alright, well, we're well through the drafting phase here, so let's actually start talking about the game instead of the giveaway. And it's going to be Silhouette and Revenant for Pingu on his band side. Parasite and Cthulhu get taken out for the Hellborn team. That means that the Switchblade is open, but it's actually not going to go through until the 4th overall pick, as the Legion side start out with Magnus, Tempest, Bubbles, then go to Empath and Dark Lady. Hellborn with Kraken, Switchblade, Prisoner into Dr. Repulsor. Second stage of bands, Glacius, Riftwalker, and Rhapsody, so lots of support bands for Legion side. Hellborn, we go with Hag, Clanks, and the Madman, so feeling that Pingu Hag, something they want to address. That Cookie's Madman, something they want to address. And then, of course, Clanks, as usual, a very difficult hero to deal with, so also want to get that short lane option taken away. But that leaves the Dark Lady open. It's a hero I've talked about in both Game 1 and Game 2 because Pingu plays it extremely well. And we'll see if that follows through in this game. They have a lot of AoE damage potential and team fights on this Legion side in this series. As you're looking at Tempest Ultimate, Magnus Ultimate, Bubbles, Kelpfield, Dark Lady Charging Strikes, all sorts of shit is gonna get screw up these Hellborn heroes, and they're all pretty tanky in general and difficult to kill. So they definitely have that going for them, which is nice because killing Kraken not easy, killing Swiftblade not easy, especially with his spin, and killing Dr. Repulsor really not easy. As long as he survives the initial jump, he's usually almost impossible to lock down. Now, as far as killing TDLs or Doctors go, they actually have a pretty great team for it, with a Silence from Bubbles, the Dark Blades from Dark Lady, and the Tempest Ultimate, as well as stuns from both him and Magnus. So there's plenty of potential to lock down and kill a Dr. Repulsor right here, even if he thinks that he can survive the initial burst, just because he may not be able to use his ultimate. And by the way, Cookies is not Cookies. This is a Swedish Cookies. And Hellborn and the other Cookies is an American Cookies, so it's a different Cookies. So lane shaping up here. It looks like they're going to be a safe lane dual lane for the Legion side with a Tempest in his own woods. No huge surprise right there. By the way, something that's strange here, they don't have a second support. It's going to be a hard support Agro Torture. It's going to be a jungle Swiftblade, actually, it looks like. Why is Invis guy banned? Is he that good? I have no idea what's happening in Twitch chat right now. Yeah, okay, that's very confusing to me, but it's fine. So Prisoner, obviously, or probably picked up there because they were thinking of going in a Dr. Repulsor pick, and that's a hero that would have fit the Legion lineup actually quite well, and they want to make sure that the Restrain is unable to be effective against the Dr. Repulsor. Obviously the Shackle, one of the more serious issues when you're playing Dr. Repulsor against a Prisoner, prevents you from using ludicrous speed, and therefore can often completely screw you over. And so it's a fine pickup, but to be honest, I'm just not seeing all that much synergy here on the Hellborn side. I mean, they don't have a ton of stuns yet again, actually. They have some more than they did last game, but not all of them are easy to hit. In fact, they have only one really targeted disable type CC ability, and that's the opposite charges from Dr. Repulsor. So that's going to be a problem. And in general, talking about weak lanes from Legion, I actually think the Hellborn's lanes are substantially weaker in this situation, as TDL is a very good lane here. Bubbles and Magnus, both strong laning heroes, and they have a jungle, which will give them an inherent advantage when it comes to the resource control as the game goes forward. And look, the Hellborn team Dr. Pulsar, not the greatest laner. Sipblade's very good, but Kraken can occasionally have some issues depending on where he's put and who he's against. Dr. Pulsar will be in the top lane with the Torture going up against Magnus, who's continuously trying to pull the lane back, and that's obviously very helpful. Actually, speaking of Kraken, going to go up against this Empath and do a crap ton of damage. She will be forced to pop a health potion right there, and she's continuing to put in a bunch of auto attack harass onto this Kraken, and Suicide Kraken, usually not that effective. He actually has some issues right there. Empath, not the greatest hero to box him out, but doing a pretty good job right here, as it looks like Catwoman will be sticking at level 1 for a while, and 69 GPM for a while, probably. And, yeah, Swift is definitely roaming / jungling. He's actually at 250 GPM already, so not having a bad start at all. We'll be able to stack yet another camp here. And continuously spin on stuff. Snotters, that's easy to kill. So, top lane, going to go in favor of Marcus Moy, at least it should, pretty substantially, but he's just barely above Cookies here, who's at, 150 GPM, but Marcus Moy 215, trying to make sure he can establish some sort of lane dominance, and that's costing him some CS, and hopefully he's figuring that'll pay off in the long run, but at the very moment, he's not getting too much in terms of a gold or experience advantage. Torture going to pull the lane back right here, as Legion have gained lane control in this top lane, and they definitely don't want that to be the case on the Hellborn. So pull not blocked, and Adro going to get a successful pull off. That'll give them some good positioning right back. Middle lane, it's going to be Bubbles versus the Prisoner, and this is a lane that Bubbles should definitely win. Hussein currently at 280 gold per minute, and you compare that to the Omega at 240, so already Bubbles is taking a pretty good lead, and I'd expect that to continue and perhaps get even better, just because there's almost nothing that Prisoner can do to screw with this Bubbles. Between Shell Surf and Take Cover, Prisoner just can't kill him, because the Shackle does not stop him from porting with the Shell Surf, so it basically becomes a situation where you can't kill the Bubbles, just because you won't get the damage output between that and the Take Cover, either stopping the hook, which should be most of the time, it should be pretty easy to dodge the hook with the Take Cover, and also potentially stopping the Prisoner ultimate if that becomes necessary. Bubbles should be just fine here, and he definitely continues to out-CS his opponent. Did miss one there, but I'll forgive you for now, Q-Zane. You get one pass. By the way, both heroes in this bottom lane, in Empath and Kraken, are level 1. Kraken has been around for, it looks like, 1 creep kill, and Empath has 0 experience per minute. So definitely further down on the experience per minute chart, but that's a trade you'll obviously take if you're the Legion team. Something on the opposing team's Kraken, who is a hero that needs something. He can't get nothing and do well at all, especially when it comes to levels. He's extremely level dependent, as he has a bunch of really, really strong abilities and wants to get them all maxed as quickly as possible. But Empath doing a fantastic job of keeping him out of the lane right here, and as a result, Pingu at nearly 360 GPM, quite easily the top farmer in the game, and 408 experience per minute as well. He's up there, the second highest experience per minute as well. So, in general, things looking decent for RmR at the beginning. By no means a substantial lead, barely even a lead at all, in fact. But they have good farm on good heroes, and it wouldn't be surprising to see them do quite well with it, as, again, I think Pingu TDL is a combo that has worked very well for them in the past, and I'd be a little bit afraid of it if I were the guys on CoolIo. Now, one advantage they are getting is the Switchblade jungle is actually working out quite well. 246 GPM on him is good, not the greatest, but it's good. More importantly, he's already level 5. So let's look at the XPM charts once again. He's third on his own team, but overall 5th in the game, and that's definitely not bad. Out-experiencing the Tempest, and keeping on par with him or so as far as the jungle goes. So I think, as I said before, they have the jungle advantage from the Legion side. That's obviously not true. I'm just making stuff up, because apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, I guess we'll get the stun off onto Torture, but not after taking a good amount of impalement damage. Trying to avoid eating the chain reactions right there, of course. But, yeah, Torture continuing to do a lot. Middle lane, it's going to be Prisoner jumping here. They will get the Forgotten One on that Empath, as for some reason he decided to come in there. I'm assuming he got hit by a hook. Let's just go back and watch it, because why not? So, Omega, yep, nice connection with the hook into the Prisoner ultimate, and there's more or less no way that he's getting out of that one. So, I forgot one, unfortunately, cannot dodge the hook as it was thrown from pretty much max range, which actually in many cases makes it harder to dodge, funnily enough. But a level 1, level 2 empath against a level 6 prisoner, yeah, it's going to be a real quick kill. Jungle MK is legit, just triple hard camp at the start and die over and over again. Okay. Alright, I have no idea what that comment means, but it's fine. Top lane, Magma's getting jumped on actually by level 6 Doctor, so he's got access to his ludicrous speed, of course. And here comes Swiftblade with his Swift Slash available. Gonna be a stun back in onto Cookies as he's trying to survive this. It's not gonna happen. No huge surprise either. Torture was also down here for the cutoff just in case. Actually, Bubbles going to go through the Shell Surf. Chain Reaction completely whiffing, and now they don't have it to be able to chase down Bubbles. In fact, there goes the counter with the wall and a kelp field, and it looks like Torture will be falling here to Q Zane as Adro not putting himself in the greatest position, and with completely failed chain reactions, really premature as well. I'm not sure why he chose to throw it when he did. But he did, and it will result, partially at least, in his death, but a nice rotation from both Bubbles and Empath, as Empath quickly realizes that Pingu does not need him in this bottom lane, and Catlowman getting some levels as a result of his roaming to other lanes, namely middle, but still doing quite poorly as far as overall farm goals. It goes at 124 GPM. Now the other issue is actually Cookies is below that, so despite the fact that Kraken got boxed out so heavily in this bottom lane, a similar thing happened in the top with Cookies, and it appears that CoolIo did, in fact, a better job at boxing out the opposing team's suicide. Empath going to stack some Ancients right here. And the Omega actually all of a sudden hitting 370 GPM, so what felt to me like should have been a one lane for Q Zane in the middle, and in many situations sort of, certainly seemed like a one lane, at least in the early going, has not really turned into that, as all of a sudden the Omega is pushing 400 gold per minute. Those hero kills obviously playing a pretty big role, or the hero kill, singular, Bloodlust, a pretty big role in his GPM, because you look at the creep kill score and got 60 for Rainbow Penguin. He leads the game right now by a pretty substantial margin. Well, a decent margin, by only a few over Swiftblade, but Swiftblades are artificially inflated because he's been killing jungle creeps, so his total CS score is higher than it would normally be. Middle lane, speaking of that Temp Prisoner, he's going to eat a Tempest Hole right here, and that's definitely going to be a kill. Question is, will they get anything else out of this? Chain Reactions actually do hit too. They did not connect on the Bubbles, but Swiftblade doesn't look like he can find the Swift Slashes there. The Ghost Marchers are active, and a good amount of damage is being done right here to Torture, and that will be one kill as Archdagger hits the Swift Slashes, but all of a sudden he's in a lot of trouble. Chain Reactions onto two. I think Bubbles took cover once again, and it looks like Archdagger will be falling here as well, so in the end, a nice engagement for the guys on RmR as they take out two cores who are farming quite well and lose only the one hero. And it looks like, once again, Catlowman gonna die, so Pingu says, I can dive, yo. I can do whatever I want here. I'm gonna get a free kill on this Kraken and just absolutely destroy him. Approaching 430 GPM, so after the Omega decided I'm gonna push a pretty good gold lead into the hands of my team. 3 hero kills for RmR, and they have not only evened that back up, but slightly taken advantage as well, and Pingu maybe starting to take off right here. 420 gold per minute, sub 10 minutes before he's particularly close to a Rune Cleaver. Has to be worrying if you're CoolIo right now, because obviously that is a really, really hard carry. The hardest carry in the game right now, and it's a hard carry that's particularly effective against your heroes, because the Dark Blades are going to prevent Swiftblade and Dr. Repulsor from getting off the abilities that they need to save their lives and stop themselves from dying in these fights, as well as actually do a lot of damage, to be honest, because obviously Swiftblade self-explanatory why he uses his abilities to do damage, but Dr. Repulsor, his flying around in these team fights and doing damage by passing over people with ludicrous speed actually is a really big reason why he can be so effective in terms of total damage output. So if he can't do that, then it's going to be a bit of an issue for the Hellborn team. Veiled Rock Ganks are all over the place here. We have Kraken coming, or sorry, Prisoner coming in with a double damage. It looks like, yeah, going to open up onto Pingu, preventing the charging strikes with the Shackle, and it looks like that's going to be a pretty easy kill. Tries to get the charging strikes off eventually. Can't find it. Kelpfield's not coming out from Bubbles. He had it, and he had a 3-man Kelpfield right there if he wanted it. Swiftblade would have just spun right through it, so wouldn't have been particularly helpful for him, but I don't think they're going to get too much out of this all of a sudden, as Prisoner is kind of hanging around. There's an Invis rune on Magnus, but he wants more than just the one stun, it seems, and they're not going to take any of the stuns. Okay. Magma's going to rotate over to the side shop here, and he might find 2 heroes. Yeah, there's a teleport away. Going to find a 2-man Lava Surge. Go for it! I'm very confused as to why that happened the way it did. Okay, so they get a good kill onto Cat Main, but, like... you had a free kill on Prisoner there, too, guys. Just saying. Could have dropped the Kelp Field real easy. Prisoner's got no ultimate. And what are they going to do? He was in the middle of the lane teleporting. I was very confusing as to why they didn't just kill the Omega as well. I mean, he's the top farmer on the Hellborn team, so it's not like it's a meaningless kill, if any kill could possibly be meaningless. I mean, I have no... I don't understand why that wouldn't have been free. So, if it wasn't free, somebody please tell me why. But... no Prisoner ultimate. I guess he had Shackle and Hook, but they had like 4 heroes there and a Kelp Field from Bubbles. And a Magnus Eruption, so... what are they going to do? I mean, literally, all they have to do, 2-man stun, Magnus Eruption, and Kelp Field if you want to. They wouldn't be diving a tower at all. Oh, they're taking a dive for a big fan. Yeah, that could have been it. RmR trying to throw.
The Legion have overrun a Hellborn FOB.
I mean, it took them... It took them long enough to get a Kraken with 900 hit points, and Prisoner definitely has more, but they didn't use Eruption or Kelp Field. So... I don't see how the Hellborn would have had the damage to turn that onto Magnus or Bubbles, and I think with the appropriate combination of those 2 abilities, it would have been a pretty easy kill. I just don't see a situation in which they could have lost that and lost heroes. Everybody's cooldowns were down. Yeah, Kraken Ultimate was available, but he wasn't going to be able to hit on more than 1 hero, and it was going to be Magnus at the very most, and I don't think that would have killed him, because, you know, Magnus has a good amount of hit points, too. And anyway, top lane, speaking of Magnus, he's going to take some aggression right there, but won't find it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like at least go for it. Maybe you don't get the kill on Prisoner, but it was worth taking a shot. Well, bottom lane, they're going to jump on top of Kraken here once again. They really want to make sure to lock and kill him a hell of a lot. Hellborn going to bring 3 heroes with teleports, but none of them are fast enough to get a counter kill onto Imba Pengu right there. And in fact, Legion side might look to reinitiate right here. Empath is still level 5, so no access to ultimate. And therefore a little bit vulnerable still. Bubble Shell Surf is going to spot out the Dr. Repulsor actually near the Ancients. And middle lane, it's going to be Prisoner trying to push this in there. Hell Cannon did die right there, so I suspect this won't be a tower kill, especially because Legion are moving multiple heroes over. Here comes the initiation onto Prisoner. There's the Kelp Field. And, you know, he does have a good amount of health, but he's going to pull everybody back in, and yeah, they have plenty of damage to kill him. So, I don't know, man. Dr. Repulsor in the bottom lane getting jumped on by TDL. She has Darkblade still active, but realizing she doesn't have enough damage to finish this off, and now that Silence going to wear off, all of a sudden TDL going to be in a lot of trouble. So Slash is there, nice charging strikes through, but the opposite charges are there, and Pengu will fall. Gotten a little too aggressive, as she probably saw the rotation coming over from Swiftblade and realized, I don't want to be here anymore, but was a little bit too deep, a little bit too over-aggressive, so Pengu going to take a death right there. And he's really close to his Rune Cleaver, so losing a kill is, and taking a death, actually that would have been his cleave, I think. He probably had enough to buy it. Definitely would have if he didn't die. I mean, it took them an extra couple of seconds using mostly AoE using a lot of AoE abilities, and they still didn't use Eruption. I'm just saying. That's a good Eruption's a good amount of damage. And they have Bubble Silence as well, so it's not like they could have gotten the stun on Magnus to stop it. So any decent coordination between those 2 heroes, and it would have been a. I feel like it would have been a free kill on the Omega, it would have been a faster kill on Kraken. He probably wouldn't have gotten his ultimate off at all. He doesn't have investments. Oh well. Why didn't the pause pass? The pause did pass, but it's a replay, so I can skip straight through it. It's very convenient. Anyway, Legion going to defend their mid tower right here. It is quite low, but they obviously don't want to lose it. It affords a good amount of map control. Top lane, Magma's going to get jumped by Dr. Repulsor right here. Electric Turret gets dropped on him, but he will be fine, it seems. Ludicrous speed, though, forward, and Magma's could actually be in some trouble. Has a Lava Surge away. He's going to continue to get aggressed on by this Dr. Repulsor. Question is, will they have enough damage to finish him off? The bottle charges continue to go through from Doctor, and it looks like Magmus will be able to get out of there. Not no problem, but definitely very close. So we're looking at Cleave now in a couple hundred gold for TDL. And that'll obviously allow him to take off a lot more than he has been. So he had a really, really good start. Got slowed down a little bit with those 2 deaths. And that's obviously very appropriate play from CoolIo, as they want to make sure that Dark Lady does not take off in the way that she definitely can. And they have a lot of mid-game pressure as well, so if they can slow TDL down at all, it's very possible that they can prevent him from really ever being able to do too much of anything. Because between Dark Lady and Swiftblade, and really Prisoner and Kraken, they have a fair bit of CC and damage. So anyway, mid lane, it's going to be a Shackle onto Magmus. Magmus hates Shackle. He will also eat the chain reactions there. He's actually in a 2-man Lava Surge, though, and Adro's going to fall. Prisoner had insufficient damage to get that kill. Dodge on the hook as well. Tempest Hole going to lock down both him and the Swiftblade. Swiftblade still has plenty of stuff up, but the Dark Blades are there, and Archie Tiger's also going to die, so a nice jump from the Prisoner, but not enough damage to finish off Magmus, and the Bubbles being a hero with his brand new portal key. That's a huge turn right there for the Hellborn, for the Legion team, and they're going to turn this into a tier 1 tower kill in the middle as well, so all of a sudden they've got a 4k gold lead and 3k experience lead that's born mostly on the back of 3-for-0 team fight and another free tower. So, sad times. If you're trying to kill that Magmus, he's a little bit too tanky, apparently. DR is probably the hardest carry in the game. He has a lot more. DR is not the hardest carry in the game. I would actually say that TDL is one of the hardest carries in the game. The amount of damage she can dish out with her Dark Blades and Charging Strikes is absolutely insane. And you pair that with a bunch of heroes that provide AoE lockdown with Tempest, Bubbles, and Magmus, and then of course, yeah, the fact that TDL does destroy Dr. Repulsor. Yeah, I mean, those Dark Blades just can absolutely wreck a Dr. Repulsor, who's generally a relatively squishy hero, and the reason he doesn't die is because he has that ludicrous speed that allows him to get heavily mobile in these fights, but when you put Dark Blades on top of that, or a Tempest Ultimate, or a Bubbles Kelp Field, or a Silence or something like that, or a Magmus stun, it gets a lot harder for him to do much of anything. And presumably, yeah, he will get a Shrunken to stop with Silence, but that's not going to be very helpful against Tempest Ultimate. And that's assuming that he can get the Shrunken off while not being continuously stunned, and that there aren't subsequent silences. Oh boy, Empath, you in some trouble there. Oh, actually, they're going to put the Swiftblade spin down, and the Eruption really doing no damage as a result of that, so Magmus with a little bit of an interesting timing right there, and nobody's actually going to die on either side. So Swiftblade looking for the easy Swift Slashes on top of Empath, but couldn't find it. They're really baiting her in that top lane. No, Doctor's definitely a very good carry, and a very good late-game carry. I wouldn't really consider him a hard carry, because he's not the traditional AFK form, I need a billion items to get involved type carry, but he still does go late-game very well. I just don't think he's the hardest carry in the game. I don't know. It's hard to beat a Doctor when he gets ahead. It's hard to beat a lot of heroes when they get ahead. Anyway, there's the Doctor. Speaking of which, you got a double damage right there, and he is getting locked down, and this is what the problem is potentially with Dr. Repulsor, and he's gonna die right here. Cover of Darkness goes on everything as well. Cookie's gonna fall in response, so it's a 1-for-1 right now, as the Swift Slashes are attempted going off, but the Dark Blades are there. Archie Tiger gonna die, meanwhile Tempest dies as well, without being able to get an ultimate off because it was on cooldown. Essence Link stun is there, and actually it's a double tap for Qzane with the Shell Serve. They're going to be able to lock down and kill Cat Lo Mein on that Kraken as well. It's a genocide in favor of the Legion team. They lose only the Tempest and the Magmus, and that's a really, really big one fight for them, as the Cleaver from Dark Lady did so much work right there. So, that's big. And that charging strikes and dark blades obviously are huge, silencing everybody out right there, especially that Archie Tiger unable to get the swift slashes off. And as a result of those dark blades, yes, Dr. Repulsor has the highest HP in the game right now, but he also has a first item icon, and he's not going to get much more. Anyway, speaking of Doctor, once again in the top lane, going to get silenced out by Bubbles. A lot of TP support. We'll see if they can get this kill. They definitely can. Will they get return on it, though? There's the Swift Slashes from Swiftblade. Has this spin as well. And he's actually doing some damage by the use of the Ghost Marcher from Dark Lady. She has Charging Strikes available. It actually gets push booked over the ledge, and the portal key away from Bubbles. That was played extremely well from Bubbles. Meanwhile, Adro dies as Cookies comes in and finishes off the Torturer. Magnus is going to be in trouble, though. Gets shackled, and he will be killed. A wall from Empath, insufficient to keep everybody down, and so that's going to be more kills for the Legion team. And that's good stuff right there. If he would have bought back there, we get Annihilation. I don't know which fight you're talking about, but if Doctor had bought back in either of those fights, he would not have gotten Annihilation. In the first one, people were not low enough, and the second one, they were way too far away from a tower. He would have spent most of his mana just getting close, and he wouldn't have gotten all the way there. Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to go from the tier 1 top all the way to the to where the fight was taking place, or the tier 2 mid. Wouldn't have been possible. Oh well. Tempest has the portal key already, so he's clearly looking for God Holes. They do have some decent cancels actually on the Hellborn side, superior magic stuns from both Prisoner and Kraken, as well as the ultimate from Swiftblade, so he's perhaps figuring, doesn't really matter if I get a Shrunken Head, my ultimate is going to get cancelled, so I might as well look to set up a better ultimate and have some more pick-off potential with my Glacial Blasts with the portal key, so perfectly acceptable pickup, in my opinion. And he's made some use of it already, 1, 2, and 7, so a good amount of hero assists. Still only 240 GPM, so still not farming all that well, but that's to be expected a little bit, because Pingu is going to take all of the farm on the entire map forever. And it's really to be expected. But Q's aim on this Bubbles is actually, I mean, obviously had a good early start in lane, then kind of fell off a little bit, but since then has been done extremely well. 380 gold per minute, having that pushbook and portal key we saw it used to great effect in the last team fight, and saving that Dark Lady.
The Legion have overrun a Hellborn FOB.
And yet the tower going down, this time in the favor of the Legion side, so that completes the tier 1s. Dead in favor of Legion. There's only one left on the map, and it's already being worked on in the bottom lane by the Hellborn team, but RmR continuing to push up here, feeling like they can out-push if they just counter-push instead of trying to take a direct engagement in the bottom lane. And there's an initiation right there from Prisoner. He's going to get the ultimate, but only on the Bubbles Illusions. Lots of ports coming in. Dr. Pulse using all of his mana. Swift Slash is mostly on that Dark Lady, but the Legion side is disengaging very effectively right here. And that'll be it, as that's gonna nothing. So 2 ultimates used for the Hellborn team. They get no kills, and they don't even get anybody particularly low. And obviously the charging strikes and the portal keys and the bubble shell surf all very effective. Top lane though, it's gonna be the Omega completely dying. Sorry, I absolutely 100% missed that. I don't know why, I should have been watching. But the 3-man gang squad right here, the initiation from Pebbles, or sorry, Magnus and Bubbles, not Pebbles. Meanwhile, that's the real empath right there. That's sort of in the middle of like 4 different heroes, and now Dr. Repulsor's running away from her. The wall is going to be able to cut him off a little bit, but they don't have the counter. Instead, they're going to go for the middle lane kills as Tempest is getting locked down, but a 2-man Tempest ultimate will be able to kill Swiftblade very easily. Adro also going to follow. The eruption gets charged up and used, but completely unnecessary, and they're getting a CC vote called already, which is, now that I'm looking at the stats, not all that ridiculous. Pingu nearing 600 gold per minute. And the only Hellborn hero above 300 GPM is that Marcus White Dr. Repulsor, who, again, just can't do anything against this Dark Lady and her Dark Blades. I mean, the silences from the Legion team between her and the Bubbles are just way too powerful. So the first item icon, I think, might have been the biggest issue for this Hellborn team.
The Legion have overrun
sure, he's tanky, but it doesn't matter because he can't survive. I mean, like I said earlier, Dr. Repulsor's survivability is dependent on his ultimate. He can get 2,000 health, or 2,500 health. He's not going to live in teamfights unless he has access to his ultimate. It's just not going to happen. And with all the silences that are coming out, he's pretty clearly dying repeatedly and very quickly before he can do much of anything. He's also not going to get very much damage out if he doesn't have access to his ultimate, or if he's silenced, because all of his, almost all of his damage is magic based, to be honest. Like right clicks eventually start to do some stuff, but most of what he gets from is Electric Frenzy, so running around with continuously using the ultimate, as well as the opposite charges and Magnetic Contraption, and that charging up his Electric Frenzy and getting initial damage out of that. But he can't use any of those abilities, so he can't charge up the Electric Frenzy. And it's a pretty serious problem in these team fights. So Legion side taking a substantial advantage right here, obviously. Pingu crossing the 600 GPM barrier. It looks like they want to go for a tower push in this bottom lane yet again. And Veldrot on Swiftblade, sort of scouting out, but obviously if he finds anybody, he's going to be completely by himself. There are portal keys on both him and Kraken and Prisoner, as well as the Doctor Jump, of course, so they definitely have the follow-up to find and assist him if he does manage to get a kill or find an opening onto somebody, but the Legion team have repeatedly shown they're willing to run as 5. So they will take a tower in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, actually, it looks like Kongor is going to be the focus for the Legion side. And Dawnbringer and Abyssal Skull finished up on Dark Lady means this is going to be a really, really quick Kongor kill. Half dead in something like 5 or 10 seconds. And once Dark Lady manages to pick up a token of life, I find this game will be very difficult for the Hellborn team, if it wasn't already. By the way, Tempest looks like he's building a push book as well. Will be very, very helpful against both Kraken and Tempest, and Doctor for that matter, of course. Hellborn are farming out the Legion Woods as they take the free Kongor kill. Also, the Hellborn had no vision of the Kongor whatsoever, so they may have known that was going on, but they certainly weren't, or they may have thought that was going on, but they certainly didn't know. And really, they're not in any position to be taking fights at Kongor either. I mean, if they tried to take that fight, then they would have gotten wiped, and then that would have been a token that might have been gained, to be honest. So, taking farm when they can find it. Well, speaking of TDL, going to be able to lock down the Swiftblade with silences a little bit, but all of a sudden he's going to be in some trouble, actually. No Shrunken Head, and Pingu going to be dying here. And certainly lots of ultimates used. Release the Kraken right on his face as he comes back up. And will he be able to get the charging strikes away? No, he won't. Almost did. But the Savage 6 streak will end. So for some reason, Pingu hanging out completely by himself deep in the Hellborn Woods against a team that has a ridiculous amount of catch potential. And so he's going to waste both his token and die. And that's going to extend the game for at least a little while longer on CoolIo's side. And that's going to be a nice couple of charges for Dr. Repulsor. They need to do a lot more of that. And if they can, then they could definitely get back into this. I mean, they do have Swiftblade and Dr. Repulsor, so as good a hard carry as Dark Lady is, there's definitely late game potential on this Hellborn team. It's basically going to be, if everybody gets equal farm, it's going to be a question of initiation. Whether Kraken and Prisoner can get the jump, or Bubbles and Magnus and Tempest can get the jump. And to be honest, some Empath walls as well. Well, we're going to see a jump actually on Prisoner in the middle lane. Going to stop his portal key, as the Essence Link does a lot right here, and there's pretty much no way that the Omega's getting out of this one. Yeah, he ends up taking the death. Not sufficient support to help him, as the towers are down, and therefore that allows the Legion side to take picks like that. But a nice engagement. Well executed from RmR. Yeah, this is a BO3, and this is the third game. So whoever wins this wins the series, and we'll be moving to Diamond Division next cycle, as this is a loser bracket finals. So you win this, you go to the Grand Finals. You lose this, you're back in gold for cycle 7. Ancients will be tripled right here and presumably given to Pingu, who, by the way, is down to 570 GPM, so he was just above the 600 gold per minute mark and has since decreased that. He's actually bought a portal key right here, which is real weird. Despite all the superior magic on the Hellborn side, Shrunken Head's probably not what he wants, actually. So I thought about that momentarily because of the Dr. Repulsor. It would be very helpful against him, but I think other than Doctor, it's largely physical damage. So yeah, maybe Shrunken, not a great pickup right here. To be honest, I think he could go Behe Heart and just be like, look, I'm a tanky mess. What are you going to do? If you lock me down, you're not going to be able to kill me before my team shows up and gives me the backup I need to turn things around on your face. So I think if you're going to want to go for a tanky item, it's going to be Behe Heart. PK is a little weird. I mean, PK is sort of one of those items that it's good on every single hero, even ones with blinks, like you can always justify getting a portal key. It's better on certain heroes, of course, but I'm not sure if there's any hero you look at and you're like, yeah, PK is bad on that. It's just having that sort of mobility is always helpful. But Dark Lady definitely on a traditional portal key hero, and for good reason. Now the advantage is that's the 4th portal key on the Legion side, so that's going to be helpful when it comes to the entire team jumping on your face. Kind of funny. And with Empath inside of somebody, that's literally going to be the entire team can jump on your face. By the way, that's a double infantry now active, and they're going to try to jump here, but a nice stun from Magmus. Tempest ultimate going to be immediately canceled by the Kraken Hole, but still 2 dead on the Hellborn side as TDL's going crazy with that double damage rune, gets away from the Swift Slashes. The entire Hellborn team except for Swiftblade is dead, and that actually might be the GG's, yeah. They CC before Archie Tiger can die, but it ends up being Pengu way too strong on that Dark Lady, and really nothing coming out of the Hellborn hard carries to get them through the mid-game of that and into a victory. So Game 3 going to RmR, and yeah, that's what I said. It can be, PK can be good on Magebane or Hag, even though they have Blink. Yes, that can be good on those heroes. It's not always, it's almost never the best item, and I wouldn't buy it because usually you can find 6 to 10 items that are better than a portal key, but it's never bad on any hero, is my opinion. Anyway, that'll do it for this game and this series as RmR pulls out games 2 and 3 after a game 1 loss to CoolIo and will be advancing to Diamond Division. They'll be going to the Grand Finals as well to play... Dawn? Yes, Dawn. Yeah, Dawn. Right? Yes. Found it. Sorry. And that actually marks a pretty inauspicious record for CoolIo as they managed to advance to the Winners Bracket Finals in the last cycle, and they lost in straight series in the Winners Finals and the Losers Finals to avoid Diamond Division in Cycle 5. And now they've done the exact same thing in Cycle 6, where they got to the Winners Finals, they lost. They got to the Losers, and that obviously put them right down to the Losers Finals, which gives them a second chance to advance, and then they lost. So Archie Tiger and co. probably feeling a little bit salty about this, and it sucks. I mean, this is sort of what happens. The upper tier of Gold Division is good enough that, you know, there's a lot of parity between these teams among themselves, as well as some of the lower tier Diamond Division teams. And, you know, you see a team like PI, they're kind of inching up towards that, you know, no longer Gold Division barrier, as they've spent now, they're going to have 3 straight cycles in Diamond, with cycles 6, 7, and 8 all spent in Diamond. And then, you know, you have teams like Shrek is Love that's kind of been bouncing back and forth, etc. But CoolIo, RmR, I think both teams that are worthy to go to Diamond, and I think both of them showed that in this series. There were definitely opportunities for CoolIo to have won. They made a couple of mistakes that they couldn't have made, I think, especially in that third game if they wanted to advance, and RmR took advantage of those to take the victories in games 2 and 3. But really was well played by both sides, an exciting and close series. RmR, congrats. CoolIo, better luck next time. Unfortunately... No, sorry, they do have one more cycle. What am I even talking about? They have the potential to advance Diamond Division. So I thought, for some reason, I thought this was Cycle 7, but it's not. It's Cycle 6. Everything was played way long ago. So that'll wrap it up for this series. And congrats to RmR one more time. And good stuff from CoolIo, to be honest. So I hope they stick with it. I hope they come back and they try to advance once again. If they don't, that would be unfortunate, as a couple of these players have kind of bounced around, really haven't been able to find permanent homes. So it wouldn't be excessively surprising to me if they call it quits after this cycle or the next, or maybe anything further than that. But that would be too bad because there's some pretty good talent right here. So that'll do it. Thanks for watching this series, guys.